Hey guys, so welcome back to the Diversity and Allyship blog. So today I'm going to be talking about NFTs. So this is something that I've kind of been aware of for about 6 months. Obviously, about the time when everybody else became aware of NFTs, when the Beeple artwork sold for like $69 million. And also I have a very good friend of mine who's super into it and has been talking to me about it and trying to get me involved. So I actually minted a couple of gifts and anywho, so that was kind of a whole foray into the world. But I also started following some people on Twitter. In fact, I originally got on Twitter because my friend was like, you have to use this to advertise your NFTs. And so she actually made a Twitter for me, and I ignored it for a while until I finally started using it, not really for the NFTs, but because she had kind of followed all the people in NFTs that they came up on my feed. But there was basically something that I noticed a lot around the rhetoric. Basically, anybody who was talking about NFTs, whether on the internet, not necessarily my friend, but just around, is they were saying like it's open to anyone. Anyone. Finally, the traditional barriers of the visual arts world are gone. You don't have to deal with snobby galleries, and anybody can make generational wealth. Like, this is such an exciting time because you don't have to be formally trained. You don't have to be a really well-known artist. You can just mint your stuff and get a community, and you can make a living as an artist, which is super awesome and and it's true, very exciting. And definitely NFTs have removed a fair amount of barriers to the visual arts world. However, I get a little bit like on my soapbox when people start talking about, it's so accessible, it's open to everyone, because obviously it's not. In order to be participate in the NFT universe, you have to know what cryptocurrency is. You have to own cryptocurrency. You have to know how to set up the wallet. You have to oftentimes have, identification for a certain country. And some countries are accepted in some websites, some are not. So there are different ways to actually own cryptocurrency. From there, Ethereum is fairly expensive, especially now. So to be able to mint, you have to own a certain amount of Ethereum. And then from there, you have to have Twitter, and you have to be on Discord, you have to be on Clubhouse, which means probably that you're going to need to speak English pretty fluently. You're going to have to be able to express yourself and talk to people about your art, and what it means, and gather the hype around it so that people are interested, and then you actually make sales. Now, there are so many steps along that route that are not accessible to a lot of people. I know that I've recently learned, actually, because I asked somebody that cryptocurrency like Bitcoin is actually really is pretty well known around the world. But like Ethereum or NFTs, that's really something that's not very well known. And I know that, like, generally speaking, owning cryptocurrency is not that easy. For example, when I was setting up my Coinbase account, I wasn't able to do it with my residential address in Pakistan. I had to basically prove that I was an American citizen in order to be able to get it. And I know friends in Pakistan who were trying to get cryptocurrency, and they had to like go through somebody else, and it was this whole mess. So basically, that extra step of trying to just get into the system is, you have to really know. You have to be tech savvy, and you have to have friends or contacts to help you do that. And then just the whole assumption of like right now, I actually did a podcast with this organization called NFT France, which was basically a blog to give information about NFTs, how they work, how to mint them, how the smart contracts work, and provide it in French, because there's just not a lot of resources which are not in English. And there's this general assumption that, like, if you're going to participate in the global world, you speak English, which is wrong, but that's what it is. Like, definitely, a certain, like, English is more or less a global language, but it's kind of like put upon people that, like, if you're going to participate in this particular market, because it's very American, very Western, very European, then you got to speak the language. So that speaks to a level of education, to a level of resources, and basically the point of me going on this rant here is that, it's too easy most of the time, whether it be with NFTs or anything else, to say that it's open to all, because especially as Westerners, or as somebody who's grown up around technology or grown up around these things, and who have access to identification and all this kind of thing, which is super easy for us, it's easy to say that it's really accessible. Like, anybody can make it, anybody can get involved, when actually it's not true. And I think it's really important to be aware of those limitations and those boundaries, so that there isn't this idea that, like, something which is open and accessible to anyone is actually open and accessible to these certain people, but they're the anyone that we care about, right? So I think that we just have to be really careful not to build that sort of understanding and associations, because then it's like everyone means those who are privileged enough to participate in everyone, and everybody else, we just don't, we don't talk about that, whatever. So that's the rant for today. I do think, obviously, there's really good things in the NFT world, but as far as I can tell, it's still, generally speaking, remains very white and very Western. There are people like my friend and a lot of people that she knows who are working very hard to change that, and they're doing really incredible work. So there are people who are doing really, really great work to make it more inclusive and equitable. But just generally speaking, the point of today's rant is, when you say something is accessible and open to all, stop for a minute and think about it. Is that actually true? See you next time.